Packed Up and Nowhere to Go by me, Monica Bohlen.
And We the People by Jalea Scott.
I can't say I didn't see it coming. We abided by the rules, paid our rent on time, and now we're homeless.
Unhoused is a social construct that determines my position in this world. Some days, I wish I could wake up from this bad dream and restart my entire life again with the push of a button. Day after day, my anxiety persists every second I spend in the shelter of misery and despair. Every episode has a continuing plot twist that attracts an individual's mind to tune in. Being unhoused is the villain of this never-ending series. Depression is a prolonged feeling of numbness and frustration.
Let me start from the beginning. In 2018, my husband set out to find a permanent home where we would enjoy our retirement life. Not just any place, but a place that would fit our needs. You see, I have lupus, and sometimes the flares are so bad I can hardly walk. So we needed to find a place that would accommodate my disability, and he found it. A beautiful high-rise building for seniors and retired teachers in the heart of Midtown, St. Louis, the Heritage House Apartments. This building overlooked the entire city of St. Louis. North, south, east, and west. No matter what side of the building you lived on, you had a beautiful view. I could see the arch from my window. I watched them build the Ferris wheel at Union Station. I also watched them build a brand new soccer stadium right from my 18th floor window.
At this time in my life, I am going through this confusing stage where I do not understand what makes me happy anymore. Once my family and I moved into this shelter, my depression got worse. Most nights I cried myself to sleep. I couldn't understand how we became homeless for the third time in my life.
Honey, you hit the jackpot. This amazing place was a community of seniors that loved life. We all had something in common. We were all over the age of 55. Most of the residents had been there 10, 15, or maybe even 20 years. I quickly fell in love with my new home. This place had everything from a doorman to a convenience store, a library, plenty of rooms for activities, 24-hour security on the parking lot. There were 5 maintenance guys, an in-house painter, 2 custodians. The office staff was very attentive and connected with the residents. We were so excited about our new home. We felt like the television sitcom, The Jeffersons. Well, we're moving on up. This building had a small convenience store that was run by the residents. Multiple meeting rooms, even our polling place was in the building. We didn't have to go outside to vote. In fact, we didn't have to go outside for almost anything. Everything we needed was right inside the building. Even a monthly happy hour, which was a popular gathering space for some of the residents. We were safe and we were prepared for a beautiful retirement life until things started to change.
My anger blames my mom, but my depression blames me. How could I allow this to happen to my family? How come I wasn't strong or smart enough to help my mother when she didn't have anyone else to depend on? You see, I am the second oldest of 7 children. I have always seen myself as the glue that holds everything together. How can I save my family this time?
It started with the termination of the parking lot security guard. When there was no replacement hired, we became concerned. Shortly thereafter, we began to experience theft and vandalism to our cars. This was a serious concern. We took to management. Security was important to us. We were all seniors and some physically disabled. One by one, amenities started to disappear. The maintenance team went down to 1 person. The painter passed away and was never replaced. The custodians left and were never replaced. The dynamics of the building started to change. It became dark and dusty. Without a security guard, cars started getting broken into and stolen nightly. My husband's work truck had multiple break-ins. 2 separate incidents where his catalytic converter was stolen right off of his truck. And my car was stolen right off the parking lot. This started to affect our safety and our budget. It became very stressful. And after multiple conversations with the manager and no results, I decided something needed to be done. I didn't want to move. I loved my home. I loved my view, and I loved my neighbors. We were a community. And speaking with the residents, they felt the same way I did. This was too big for me to fight by myself. So I asked some of the residents for help. And with over 200 residents, we decided to come together and organize.
From my experience, new technology has organized different agencies into particular categories that help to assist families by placing them into shelters and or traditional housing. For example, some homeless shelters only offer services to victims of domestic violence or veterans. As an African American in the United States of America, my experiences in life are different than those who have been more privileged. My family and I have always struggled to make ends meet. We eventually became homeless. During this unfortunate period of my life, we moved into a local homeless shelter. When we moved into the homeless shelter, I noticed right away that the maintenance of the facility was horrible. And not to mention, a local St. Louis shelter is located in one of the most gang-affiliated areas of downtown. Being homeless has shown me that the world can be cruel to those homeless individuals.
We started with petitions to present to the board at their monthly meetings. We presented multiple pages of signatures. They were ignored. We sought outside help from activists, organizations that were familiar with these type of issues. We were consistently meeting every week, discussing old and new issues to present to the board. We sent letters to management companies and to the owners. No response.
No response.
No response. We even got to the point where we were getting ready to protest. We made signs and prepared ourselves for public protest. Tension was at an all-time high. Meanwhile, my husband and I decided to take a different route and take our story to the stage. See, we were a part of a group called the Workers' Opera, and it allowed us to incorporate our story into a production that included multiple stories of injustices. This attracted the attention of local newspapers. My husband and I were not going to give up. We were determined to get the word out, one way or the other. Until the morning of July 29th, 2023. I woke up and my husband was on the floor, suffering from a massive stroke. Our lives changed instantly. Between the hospital visits and the rehabilitation centers, life became very hectic. But the fight wasn't over. I had to keep going. I needed my husband to come home and receive care in a familiar place with his family. So the fight continued, except I'm fighting 2 fights now.
How do emotions and sense of perception change our knowledge of the world? Most people believe that all homeless individuals do absolutely nothing to change their life for the better. That is not the case at all. When I lived in a homeless shelter, many unnecessary rules and regulations prevent people from being accepted into the homeless shelter. Homeless shelters are supposed to provide service to those who are not able to provide it for themselves. However, their services were limited and ineffective. For example, the Shelter Care Plus voucher provides a homeless, low-income families with an at-home or rental assistance for 6 months to a year. Based on my experience, I thought if we applied for the Shelter Care Plus voucher, we would never be at risk of being homeless again. Without knowing the flaws of the voucher, we proceeded to complete the requirements. For 3 months, my family and I received no notices about our application process. How could anyone be that irresponsible? Families suffer day in and day out while living in a place that is infested with bed bugs and lice, with a short supply of food, and an inevitable amount of drug suppliers as neighbors. Now, I have enough experience to understand that the federal, state, and/or local government should care less about the well-being of homeless individuals. Homeless shelters are supposed to help the individuals get back on their feet. Underfunded homeless shelters like this make it difficult for families like mine to escape poverty and/or homelessness.
All of a sudden, we received a letter from the board informing us the building had been sold, and the new owners would take over September 2023. We had new owners and high hopes. Unfortunately, things got worse. The residents group decided to meet with new management to get clarity and updates about the plan for the building. This is when we learned the truth. The building had not been sold, and the new management had no plans of addressing our needs. They had their own agenda, and it was not beneficial to the residents. Shortly thereafter, the environment became very hostile. Many residents had bad experiences with the new management. Some of the residents decided they had had enough, and they began to leave. The ones that did not leave decided to join our tenant organization to continue the fight for our building. On January 15th, 2024, the coldest day of the year, the residents woke up to flooded apartments and hallways. In sub-zero weather, the media showed up and we became a national story. We had to evacuate immediately, leaving our homes and personal belongings. The city had condemned our building.
Most individuals that move into a shelter have little to no income. My family struggled to try and make ends meet. While living at the homeless shelter, I realized that their facility lacked many resources, including adequate amounts of food, sanitary living areas, and security. I could not believe that what I saw while living in that shelter. People had no choice but to eat rotten food on a day-to-day basis. We bathed in bathrooms with menstrual blood all over the walls. I witnessed people using and selling drugs right outside of the shelter. My voice will speak for those who have experienced the horrors of living in a homeless shelter. There are not enough people in the world who take this matter seriously. Homeless individuals deserve to be heard. They are just as important as someone with billions of dollars in their bank account.
Homeless individuals deserve to be heard.
We deserve to be heard.
We are now unhoused. The city provided metro buses to transport us to a downtown hotel. We spent 1 month there, and then was transported to another hotel by the airport. We spent another month there, and then we were split up into 3 different hotels. We were later informed that our building was no longer inhabitable, and we would have to find a new home. Meanwhile, my husband is in a nursing home. Looking forward to going home, I had the hardest time trying to explain to him that we no longer had a home.
No matter how many times we got knocked down, I managed to pick us right back up. During the end of my junior year basketball season, I ended up with another concussion. Eventually, I became overwhelmingly drained. I began to exclude myself from everyone and everything. The only thing that kept me going was the idea of going to college at Rockhurst University and starting my life over. I will not allow anyone or anything to stop me from getting my diploma. I did whatever it took to finish high school because this is not the life that I'm supposed to be living. I made the promise to myself that once I graduate high school and earn my master's degree in nonprofit administration, I will fight for families who struggle like mine. I will build my unhoused shelter and transitional housing in a safe and welcoming neighborhood. The transitional housing and unhoused shelter would offer an on-site job training, classes on how to manage your finances, and most importantly, support groups to help individuals get through tough times. Because no one deserves to live like